Hello, I want to talk about storms. There's an article here in the Telegraph from yesterday. Storm Franklin approaches as UK hit by 3 named storms in a week for the first time. More high winds forecast days after Eunice and Dudley damaged buildings, uprooted trees and left homes without power. Now, we have had storms. As a matter of fact, there's a pretty high wind going on now, which is why I'm making this video instead of out riding my horse. And as a matter of fact, I'm making this video later in the day than I usually do because I overslept. I slept quite late, and I slept late because I woke up at about 3:30 in the morning with the wind battering the window panes, and it woke me up and I couldn't get back to sleep until 6 o'clock. And then I dropped off as one dead until 9:30 in the morning, which has set my schedule right back. However, I'm just thinking of all these storms we're having, and of course this has given, or will give, a lot of ammunition to the eco-warriors and the zero carboners, or whatever they call themselves. But I just want to talk about these storms. You see, in previous years, when storms weren't named and we didn't have digitalized animations of wind systems in the North Atlantic and all the rest of it. One day last week, a storm would have broken, and then we would have had a set of high winds, and then it would have dropped for a day or so, and then it would have restarted again, possibly bringing some snow, and then it would have stopped. Or gone into abeyance for a little while, and then it would have started up again with some wind, and then it would have stopped. And people would have said, "Oh, goodness me, that was an awful storm. It lasted like 10 days. The wind didn't let up most of the time." And that would have been the end of it. It was just a protracted storm. And it's not as if this is a strange occurrence in the British Isles. Oh, yeah, there was a great storm. It was called the Great Storm, and it started in November. I don't remember the exact date. Hang on, I'm going to look it up. It was 1770 something. Just a minute. 1703. That's right. And it started in November of 1703, and I think it went right on until January. It killed hundreds, far more than people know about, of course, but there are about 300 that they did know about. Chimneys coming down, windmills blowing over. As a matter of fact, that's one reason why we don't have that many windmills in Britain anymore. There used to be a lot of them on the East Coast, but most of them blew down in the storm, and nobody had the heart to put them up again. Norfolk, Suffolk, places like that, very, very flat areas, as Noel Coward put it. So that storm, the Great Storm, it's just one storm. But it must have been, by these calculations, if we had the animations and everything, it was probably 5 or 6 of them, just one after the other, according to the way they're being defined now. Then it was just one storm. So, you see, because we've started giving these incidences of high winds names, they now are different entities. Even though in previous years they would have been the same thing, just coming and going a little bit. And I wonder about why this is being done. Instead of saying, "Oh, we're going to have storms for the next 3 weeks," or whatever. No, we're being battered by Storm Eunice, and then Storm Dudley, and the next one, Storm Franklin. And I'm wondering whether that isn't preparing us to change our minds about storms, to think of them as one assault after the other, because, to change our attitude to the way we view the weather as being perverted in some way by human action. Do you see what I mean? That we're having a different attitude to the weather. Oh, this is Storm Franklin, Storm Dudley, Storm Eunice, and we've been battered by these 3 storms, and this is terrible. It's a bit difficult to nail down, but I'm wondering whether there isn't an agenda to all of this. That's basically all I'm saying. Britain has been hit by 3 named storms in a week for the first time since the system was introduced 7 years ago, with strong winds hampering efforts to restore power to tens of thousands of homes. Large parts of the UK have been warned to brace themselves for winds, etc., etc. This is terrible, this is terrible. Like storms never happen. We're on an island, for goodness sake, in the middle of an enormous sea. There's the Atlantic on one side, and there's the North Sea on the other, and there's a very narrow channel between us and France, and of course that's going to get all whipped up. So there are some pretty spectacular photographs here, and some news about power outages and all the rest of it. But there is an upside to it. Yes, of course. The O2 Arena was damaged. A huge chunk of it has been ripped out. There's a horrible, ugly, miserable piece of pompous monomania from the Labour Party, the Millennium Dome. I do hope they discover that it would take too many sewing machines to stitch it together, and they're going to pull the whole thing down. All right, well, that's it. That's what I'm saying. I think there might be an agenda to this storm naming, and this idea that we're getting one storm after the other suddenly and obviously this is because of our sins, although instead of God punishing us because of our sins, it's nature having a go at us because we're pumping too much CO2 or whatever into the atmosphere, or we're just breathing, because that's ultimately where it goes, isn't it? Human beings are to blame because we're alive. All right, well, I'm Graniopteryx. I will usually let you know when I've uploaded a video on Twitter, Gab, or Parler, and so you'll never miss a video if you subscribe to one of those. And the handle is @Graniopteryx, and well, goodbye till next time. Why not treat yourself or a favoured relative or friend to these magnificent examples of merch? The mugs and t-shirts come in the Graniopteryx design or Granbo with a firearm or the more deadly knitting needles. Go to www.graniopteryx.com, and whatever platform you're watching this on, please click like, subscribe and share.